Hey there, Parker Reed here, and welcome to PR Media, your home for everything movies and music through my eyes. And today we have a list of the worst movies that have come out on 4K Blu-ray so far in 2021, and this isn't a comment on the movies themselves and the quality of them. We are just talking about their 4K transfer and if it lived up to the price, if this movie even deserved to be on 4K, all of that. And there were a lot of great 4K releases this year, so these releases aren't terrible in their own right, they're just pretty disappointing, and by proxy, they're the worst of 2021 so far, in my opinion. First up, we have a childhood classic of mine, that's Space Jam. And Space Jam was disappointed because the CGI here did not transfer very well, the animation didn't transfer very well. Sure, some of the close-ups look good, especially when they get just close-up of Michael Jordan in the real world, but when they get into Looney Tunes world, it looks pretty rough, and it's expensive to start off with, so not great. Next up is probably the most disappointing 4K transfer so far this year for me, and that is Nobody. I really enjoyed the movie Nobody. I thought it was a fresh take on a John Wick style movie, but the grain here is heavy and the quality isn't very good. You know it's bad when I had to go up to my 4K Blu-ray player and pop out the disc to make sure I actually put in the 4K disc and not the also included Blu-ray disc. It wasn't impressive, I didn't like it that much, and I would recommend you get the Blu-ray copy of this and save a few pennies. Don't buy the 4K disc because it just doesn't look very good. The next film up on this list of the worst 4K Blu-rays so far in 2021 is a movie that you really couldn't have done that much with. It's Shrek. This animation was cutting edge at the time, but it's 20 years old now. It doesn't look very good, and even with a good 4K transfer, you wouldn't have been able to salvage this. It just doesn't look very great. Next up on the chopping block, it is a 1970s classic, Animal House. I think this movie was fun and it was a good frat boy comedy, but overall the grain is really heavy on this disc, the detail isn't really there, and I thought it was a bit of a disappointing disc for me. And you can't just say, oh, it was made in the 70s, of course it doesn't look that great. My Fair Lady came out much earlier than that, and that is an immaculate reference quality disc, so Animal House just isn't cutting it. The next movie up on this list is not Star Wars, it's Spaceballs. And Spaceballs is a fun movie. Sure, I didn't really click with it. It's not my style of comedy, but just this 4K transfer, it's average at best. And for an expensive Kino Lorber title like this, I don't think it's worth it for you. I mean, just get a Blu-ray copy. You can probably buy it on Blu-ray for $5 or $10 nowadays. Don't spend $25 or $30 or even more on the secondary market because I know the slipcover version is worth quite a bit. So it was disappointing for me. It was hard to get my hands on, and it just wasn't worth it ultimately. It hurts me a little bit to put this next movie up on this list, and that is Gattaca, because I did enjoy the movie by itself. I thought it was an interesting, thought-provoking thriller, but overall, it just didn't do much for me. It didn't look that good. I mean, the quality just wasn't there. Maybe the slipcover version, which came out after this, looks better, but I don't think they did anything with the transfer. I just think it's a different physical media version, so this is just not doing it for me. And it's at an okay price, but I just wouldn't recommend it. I don't think it looks good. The second to last movie I have on this list of the worst 4K Blu-rays of 2021 so far is a movie I reviewed, and it's probably the most memeable review I've ever done. That's Sex World. I bought a porno on 4K and I didn't know it. I thought it was a weird parody film, that kind of comedy. Nope, I didn't do my research enough. It's just a straight up porn on 4K. I don't want to see dicks and boobs on the big screen. I don't need that. Just give me my phone. I'll be better off. Yeah, I spent a lot of money on this too. Pretty ashamed of myself. The final film up on this list, it is Batman: Soul of the Dragon. This is an odd movie. I don't know why this came out on 4K, and I don't know why it's so expensive. There was a little bit of a lull of 4K releases at the beginning of the year, and I think this was the first movie I reviewed of this year on 4K, and I regret it, because while it was a little bit funny at times, it just didn't add up to much, and it isn't a good-looking animated movie on 4K. Stay away from this like the plague, or COVID, whatever you want to relate it to. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked what you saw here, you can check us out on Facebook or Instagram, and like, comment, and subscribe if you so choose. My name is Parker Reed. You've been watching PR Media. Keep supporting physical media, and I'll see you next time. Thanks, guys.